And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from the Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we're talking about a topic that's very dear to my heart, which is understanding happiness. Okay, there's so much to learn here, and I absolutely love talking about this topic because that's what it's all about. Like, if you understand the purpose of life, it is for us to be truly happy, for us to enjoy life, for us to have joy and happiness. That's what life is all about. That should be our ultimate purpose. Understanding how that works and then being able to work towards having an exponential growth in happiness. Okay, because there's a lot of people who believe that immediate gratification or pleasure is happiness, and pleasure in the moment, and basically putting off all hard things and difficult things and the things that will reject you. Those are the things. No, I don't want that. I just want my pleasure here, my itty bitty pleasure. Because what happens, like, we got to understand this, the happiness scale, if you will. Okay, like, if you have a scale of 1 to 10 and you want to be happy, okay, now you don't understand, you might not have ever experienced true bliss, joy, and happiness. Maybe you have. Maybe you've gotten a small glimpse of how it feels like. Trust me, it's even better than the best feeling in the world that you've ever felt. Okay, because it literally, like, it's body expanding. Okay, like, you're so happy. Like, I've experienced it, I've lived it, and it happens at times. And over time, as you become more and more masculine, you'll become more and more happy. I'll explain. But first of all, if when you start out as a child, you are feminine. Okay, that's how it works. And then you come to a point where your sperm production is beginning to come into play. That's nature, how it was designed by the universe for us to become men. It is necessary for us to become men. We cannot remain in our femininity, because remaining in our femininity means that we're not able to control our thoughts, to control our emotions, and to control our behavior. So if we're not able to control our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, we're going to seek the immediate gratification or immediate happiness or immediate pleasure that's around us. And if that's the case, what happens? Well, you will be depressed most of the time because you can't control your emotions, right? And so you'll seek after the shortest possible, most immediate gratification that's available, and then you'll get like maybe a 3 or a 4 or 5 in happiness, and then it collapses right after. This is the same as an ejaculation, where you're like, oh, I'm really excited about ejaculating, then you ejaculate and you're like, man, that was not worth it at all. Or the drinking party, where you go and you're so excited and you get drunk and blah blah blah, or you smoke weed, and then the next day you have this massive hangover, massive headache, because your body is detoxing from stuff that wasn't supposed to be in your body in the first place. Do you understand what I mean? Like, it's very inconsistent. You've got like this burst of little itty bitty small happiness that's not even happiness, by the way, and then you got this collapse, and then you end up being depressed because, oh, I did this and that and the other yesterday because I was drunk. But I have to blame it on being drunk. No, it's your fault. You suck, right? For taking all those things into your life and using it when you shouldn't have been doing it. Does that make sense? So anyway, I wanted to explain that you don't know what 10 in happiness truly looks like, because 10 in happiness really is like, it's a logarithmic scale, if you will. Like, it's a 100, 1,000, a 10,000. Do you understand? Like, you can have 10,000 in happiness on a 1 to 10 scale. It's not mathematically possible, but do you understand what I mean? Like, when you get to 10, you'll be like, oh my gosh, like, I had no idea that was actually possible. Exactly. That's how happiness works. And for good reason. Oh my gosh, thank you, right? Thank you, universe, for creating a system where we can actually be happy all of the time, and actually feel joy and happiness continuously and ever increasingly. It's possible. If we understand that scale, then it's really about understanding how to control our thoughts, how to control our emotions, how to control our behaviors. Because if you cannot control that, then happiness will be inconsistent, right? Happiness is going to be depending upon your environment, what surrounds you, who surrounds you, and what are they doing to you, right? If someone is interrupting what you're doing and basically maybe threatening you or saying that they're going to be violent with you, and you're not able to defend yourself very well because you're feminine, then that's going to be a problem towards your happiness. Does that make sense? Like, it's not going to be consistent because they're coming to you and they're threatening you with violence, etc., etc. You're not going to be happy about that. Or if you cannot control your thoughts, that means that you're a feminine creature, meaning that you're all about the now, right? The more feminine you are, the more in the now you are, meaning your emotions are so overpowering and so like intense that you are like, you're overpowered by them in the sense that you can't choose the emotion. Does that make sense? Like, your emotion is coming over you, right? And it's choosing what, and your brain, obviously you can't choose what you think about, so you're going to be very focused on the negative thing that is happening to you because of life struggles. They come into your life, relationships come into your life, people, suck very often, and they come to you with all of their problems, and you already have problems and you don't have capacity for more problems, etc., etc. And so that's why you become depressed. However, that's and you also believe, because you're feminine and you're in the now so much, you believe that this thing, this problem is going to last forever. It's not, as long as you're continuously moving towards masculinity. If you remain in your femininity, then nothing is going to change, because then it's always going to be about environment. The more feminine you are as a man, the more selfish you are in terms of not creating win-win situations with other people, which means that they're also not going to care much about you because they're also feminine and trying to look out for their needs. Do you understand what I mean? So you, as a feminine creature who's only focused on the now, who's only focused on yourself, because that's your emotions, right? Your emotions are so intense, so you don't have time to think about other people and think about what's going on with them and how you can help them, etc. It's all about you. And that's why life sucks very often, and that's why you're depressed. That because you think that you being in this current situation that you're in is going to last forever. It's not, as long as you make the decision that you will not remain in your femininity. You can't change anything if you're feminine. It's going to be completely environmental. If we look at the 5 phases of leadership, you've got allow yourself to be led, which is the only feminine principle, right? Out of the 5 phases of leadership, you got to allow yourself to be led. You've got lead yourself. You've got lead a team. You've got lead women, lead kids, right? Allowing yourself to be led, that is the time when you're still in your femininity and you cannot control your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. That's why you need to be in the service of other people, in the sense that they're the boss of you. That's okay. For a small specific amount of time, that's okay. And you should practice to become the best employee or the best follower that you possibly can be. Because if you are, that means that you are learning how to discipline your thoughts, discipline your emotion, and discipline your behavior, because they're telling you to do something that you don't want to do, most probably, right? Because if you don't want, like, if you're feminine and then there's a potential scenario where you need to do something that you hate doing, you don't want to do it, and you're like, I hate this, right? The whole point, that's the whole point. That's you actually, because if you're feminine, you're not going to want to do it because your emotions are so intense that you don't feel like it. And if you don't feel like it, you're going to stay away. It's too painful. It's too yucky. It's too all this, that, and the other. If you're masculine, you're going to do it no matter what, because you're allowing yourself to be led in order for you to get the immediate reward. That's basically cash, right? That's why you get a job. It's because you can get paid. And if you get paid, then you can solve your problem. And over time, you don't need that job anymore, hopefully, right? You want to get to a point where you break loose from the allow yourself to be led, while you're still allowing yourself to be led, but only by people that are way better than you, who've got what you want, and you're listening to them because you want what they want. Do you understand what I mean? But you're breaking from following bosses or leaders who suck. That's very often the scenario you're in if you have a job, right? Unless you have a job working for someone that's really awesome. Because if you do, stay there, because you're going to be happy when you've got good bosses, until the point where you don't grow anymore. There comes a point when you just like there's a ceiling to my personal development that I have here. I need to move forward. I need to expand. I need to start my own business. If you're masculine, you will always come to that point. It's impossible for you to remain the more masculine you become, it's impossible for you to remain in a full-time job. Realize that. If you always remain in a full-time job and you're being owned by the owner forever, it's a problem. You've got to become your own master, your own business owner who makes his own decisions with his own time and with his own energies. Because that's moving towards happiness, exponential joy and happiness, when you can choose over your own time and in your... Do you understand what I mean? So that's the number one thing of allowing yourself to be led, and it's temporary, but it's necessary because it helps you to go through hell to get to heaven, right? You've got to go through that like you want that femininity in you to be screaming at you in such a way that you're moving forward and you're fired up about that intensity, if that makes sense. Because you know that on the other side of femininity, that's where masculinity is. I've spoken about this before in terms of a comfort zone. Your comfort zone is really itty bitty small when you start out in life, right? When you're, before the age of 8 and 9, you've got a very small comfort zone, and you stay within your comfort zone because, oh, I need to be protected by my parents and this and that, and it's dangerous and all that stuff. You're in that comfort zone, and that's okay. And then you move on, and you now have become a teenager, and now you've got to do things that are uncomfortable, things that you really don't want to do, but you've got to do them because life has put that in there so that you can grow, so that you can become more of a man. And when you and that comfort zone is so difficult, but when you do the thing that you don't feel like doing, guess what? It wasn't as bad as your brain thought. It wasn't as bad as your emotions thought. And that's why you now have expanded your comfort zone. The more you expand your comfort zone, the more masculine you're becoming. And the more comfortable you are in any situation ever, the more masculine you are. Until the point where you're comfortable in any situation nonsoever. There could be war, they could be anything, and you've gone through it before mentally. You're prepared, you know what to do, you're masculine. Your comfort zone is extremely big. You're comfortable in any situation. And if you're comfortable in any situation, guess what? You've been able to choose your thoughts, your emotions, and your behavior, which allows you to be happy in that circumstance, the worst of circumstances. Right? Do you understand that? So now what has actually happened is you have chosen to be happy. Oh my gosh. Now we're getting to the nitty-gritty of things, because if you manage to go through the hell, you manage to go through the uncomfortability, manage to go through the rejection. We want rejection. We want uncomfortability. We want to experience the difficult things of life, but we want to experience the things that don't kill us, but make us stronger. Does that make sense? Like if it kills you, then it sucks, then you go and you don't have a body anymore, and you have to wait for your body if you believe in the resurrection, right? But if it doesn't kill you, it only is making you stronger, more comfortable, and more able to be happy despite circumstances. An attitude independent of circumstances is what we're fighting and struggling towards. If you can have that, if you can learn to get that, that's masculine. What happens if you have an attitude independent of circumstances? You've got the most elusive things in the world, which is consistency. There is nothing more important than consistency. And the universe has blessed our brains in such a way that we are habitual creatures, which means that when you do something long enough, consistently over a long period of time, that becomes a habit. And when you've got a habit, that habit will fuel you. If it's a positive one, it will fuel your growth like nothing else. Okay, like when you're in your femininity and you've got, you can't control your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors, and you're going to do the immediate gratification thing, and you do that again and again and again and again until it becomes a habit, and then you've got the exponential growth curve, or decline curve, if we're honest, of that immediate gratification thing. What's going to happen? You've got now a habitual mindset that you need this immediate gratification. It's an addiction, but it's a bad addiction that's going to take you to an eternal hell, right? It's not eternal. You can always change, as there's always hope as long as you're still alive, but you're going to get deep into debt in terms of deep into an addiction that's very difficult to shake off. And that's a problem, but that's a habit, which means that it can be turned around. We can mess with our brain in a way that we can get out of the environment that created that habit and get into a better environment that doesn't have that as the norm, right? If you got an addiction, you can't stay around the same friends who are doing that same addiction and who are enjoying that addiction. You've got to move out of that environment and then put yourself in a completely new environment where that's not the norm, where that's a strange thing. Why are you doing that? That's weird. Because then it becomes social pressure to move towards the right direction, which is masculinity and being addiction free. Freedom, right? There's no freedom in addiction. And that's the beautiful thing of moving towards masculinity, because you'll be free. You'll be free from addiction. You'll be free from the things that you don't want to have as habits. And when you're free from those, then you can begin to implement new habits into your life that actually fuel long-term joy and happiness, right? And the more habits you develop over time that are good for you, good for your health, good for your relationships, good for your, people skills, good for your financials. If you've got that in place, then your happiness is continuously exponentially increasing over time, because habits make it so that you don't have to think about that specific actions. You simply just do it. Just like brushing your teeth every single day. You'll have nice teeth throughout your life if you brush your teeth and floss every single day, right? That's a good habit, something you do without thinking. Well, very often people don't have that habit, and so they end up having crappy teeth for the rest of their lives. That's not freedom. Freedom is having, $1 million smile, right? And that's what you want, as an example, okay? So that's happiness. That's moving towards happiness and improving and making your life better on a continual basis. If you understand these things, then you understand that life is all about the wins and losses, okay? And the wins and losses, what's so awesome about this? Remember, you're becoming more masculine over time. You're controlling your thoughts. You're controlling your emotions. You're controlling your behavior. If you do that, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be able to go into every situation. And there are two options, okay? The two options are, I'm going to win or I'm going to lose, right? And if you're a masculine man, losing is not an option. However, that's inevitable. You will lose most of the time. Actually, 95% you're going to lose. Now, if you get onto a winning streak, that's awesome. That's absolutely amazing, and it fuels your happiness. But then you become worried when other people are beginning to compete against you and becoming better than you, because when you are the winner, you don't train as hard, or you don't do the thing that got you there very often, right? Because you're like, okay, now I can finally relax. I'm the winner. No, that's when you should really step it up to become the best in the world. Why? Because there's always going to be someone who is better than you over time. You're going to meet someone who is your arch enemy or arch nemesis, right? Your friends, because that's masculinity. You can compete and still be fired up about being friends with each other. And then, but what's going to happen is that if you are feminine, you're not going to want to lose ever. Okay. And that's okay if that's what you want, but that's going to make you depressed a lot of the times if you're going to lose, right? How do you think it feels for someone who had $1 million and then they lost it all and they give up on it again? They like, because they won it so suddenly, and then now they're depressed, just like the lottery winner who wins a lot of money and then they go massively into zero or debt after they've had that money, right? Now they're depressed because they had happiness, but now it's impossible for them to get back to it. That sucks. That's why you should never ever play the lottery or gamble, okay? Because it's not what the universe had in store for us. The universe had consistency, boring and mundane exponential growth in store for us and for our happiness, because that's what's going to create it. But I was explaining about wins and losses, okay? If you can control your thoughts, then you can rationally, okay, don't forget about the emotion for now, okay? You can rationally believe, and it's true, that winning is awesome. Okay, that's what we want. That's masculine. But losing is learning. Which one causes you to learn the most? It's losing. What happened? Why did I lose? Why did I not achieve the things that I was supposed to achieve? Why did I, like, what happened in that stage, and that stage, and that stage? I need to study what happened because it doesn't make any sense, the cause and effect of me losing. What the hell? What does that guy have that I don't? So I need to figure it out. This is when you're beginning to learn, right? And learning is winning. So once you understand that winning and losing, and there's always hope and there's always a solution, you can always come back from the loss, then you'll actually be happy whether you win or lose. Does that make sense? And if you discover that, and you know that there's a long-term picture and that everything continuously improves because I'm continuously improving, right? Can I? Which is Anthony Robbins' constant and never-ending improvement. If you have that, you will know that you will solve all of your problems eventually. There's a solution to everything. You just haven't figured it out, and some of the things are like you have to prioritize, right? So in that sense, a loss is a win. So you actually are winning no matter if you win or lose. Like, if you understand that as a masculine man, you are now controlling your thoughts, your emotions, and your behavior, but you're also controlling your happiness because it's yours. And why do you want to be happy? Well, if you're depressed, you're not going to be able to give your best performance. When you're depressed, you're thinking about, oh, I suck and I have low self-worth and my confidence is low and I'm probably not going to win and it's going to be horrible and blah, blah, blah. And you talk down on yourself. That's ridiculous. That's not going to give you what you want. The people who become successful are very often those that are happy on their journey towards success. So happiness is a precursor of success because they know, they've got confidence that they will arrive, that it's simply a numbers game, that it's simply about doing more than the opposition, right? The people who know that they're going to become successful are those that give up things that they enjoy now so that they can be able to achieve the goal that they have in store for themselves. Do you understand what I mean? Because if you're willing to sacrifice things that other people are not willing to sacrifice, then you're going to be able to massively pass those people in the future because your exponential growth curve and your consistency is better than theirs, right? If a person is growing 5% but a year, but you're growing 10% per year, like how are those two different exponential growth curves are going to look like? Do you understand what I mean? That's what I think is awesome when you understand happiness, when you understand motivation, when you understand masculinity, that it's all about masculinity. It's all about controlling your thoughts. Because if you can control your thoughts, man, you can achieve anything in life that you want to achieve. And the number one thing is to get rid of your femininity, to get rid of your inner bitch, to get rid of the screaming emotions, the screaming voices in your brain that are negative. You have that choice. That's something that you as a man have that women don't have. This is something that's unequal in us. Okay, they've got pregnancy. They've got the ability to be like, to have amazing happiness compared to us. if they're in the proper environment. And also very often their pleasure is also more intense than ours. Understand, women have intense emotions, but it's a good thing. We want them to have intense emotions, and we don't want them to control those emotions, because when they can control those emotions, or they basically subdue all of their emotions, they begin to feel emotionally dead inside. And if they're emotionally dead inside, then we have to be the life of the party and try to get them to become emotional, but it's not going to work unless they drink or use stimulants or any stuff like that. The more masculine women become, the worse this world becomes, because they only become lively when they use stimulants. That's a bad thing to do, because that exponentially destroys them over time, right? And gives them multiple partners, all that stuff. Anyway, what I'm saying is that men have a special ability that women are struggling with compared to us, and that's consistency, because their emotions are completely based on their environment. That's what femininity is, and they can never become completely masculine. And would we want them to? No, I don't want women to become masculine. Do you? Okay, so they need to stay in their environment and enjoy that environment, and our job as men is to make sure that they're happy. Right? As a family man, your job is to make sure that your feminine creatures in your family are allowed to be feminine. That's your number one role as a masculine man, or as a masculine father or husband, etc., etc., to make sure that your feminine creatures in your home, which is basically the kids below the age of 8, the girls also above the age of 8, but also your women. And you are the one who creates that environment, okay? So if you don't move towards masculinity and you remain in your feminine nature, guess what's going to happen? You're going to attract a masculine woman. So if she's masculine, she's going to overpower you with her emotions, and you're going to submit and do your best and try to improve and blah, blah, blah. But it's going to cause you to also be feminine and inconsistent, because her emotions and what she wants is inconsistent. Okay, I'm talking about family here, but I'm just explaining to you that stay away from romantic relationships with women right now. You're not ready for it, because you still have feminine tendencies. And that's why I say to you to establish your financial foundation first and be voluntary celibate for a time to achieve your purposes. Because once you establish some financial foundation, that required character, that required patience, that required you destroying your inhibition, moving towards masculinity one step at a time. Not only that, but staying away from women also required its own form of masculinity and control, right? It's difficult to stay away from women, especially when they're so loose and easy and want to spend time with you, right? The more masculine you become, the more women want to spend time with you. And that is the time when you need to be disciplined and say that I'm not interested at this point in time. Like, I appreciate the offer, but that's not for me right now, because I haven't killed my inner bitch, right? I haven't gotten over the bitch that's inside here first. What you're doing is you're trying to practice polygamy with another woman who's actually alive, and she's going to have problems, and you've got your own bitch in here that has problems. So now you're trying to tackle two women, your own bitch, and the woman that you have here, who's not a bitch, by the way, but she's struggling because you are focused on this, and then she wants your focus, and then you have your career, and you have this and that, and there's too much problems. Get rid of the inner bitch in yourself first before you take on any other women. Do you understand what I mean? Voluntary celibacy is the ultimate thing to do if you're still somewhat feminine. And if you don't have 100K in US dollars right now before the inflation hits, then you're still feminine. You haven't qualified. You suck. Okay? But that's okay. It's if you look at the win-lose, right? You've lost the battle, but you're gonna win the war. You're not winning in the sense that you haven't got 100K yet, but losing is what's going to make you learn. It's what's going to make you build character. It's what's going to move you towards in the right direction towards your dreams and goals. Once you've got 100K, then you can begin, let's say, hire me so that you can understand proper female nature. The faster you hire me, though, the faster you'll get to 100K. So I recommend you do that now. Like, seriously. But if you don't, once you get to 100K and you want 3 girls in love, that's the time to hire me and to understand female nature. I'm going to be fired up outside my brain to teach guys how to operate this thing and how to make it work for them, and so that they can receive a stamp of approval, so that the 3 women that are on the 3 Girls in Love channel, or however many women that are on there, are going to come to me and say, okay, where's the next guy? Where's the guy who qualifies and receives the stamp of approval? Like, that's how the system is going to work over time, which is going to be absolutely amazing. There's going to be a council who's going to give the stamp of approval. Can you imagine if there's 20 guys or 30 guys that say, yes, this guy's man, he's a man of high value. He's got longevity. He's never, ever going to divorce you, never, ever leave you behind. And he's basically proven by his track record that he's absolutely amazing. And he understands the principles of truth and happiness, freedom, etc. Anyway, so much I can say to you guys. Okay, another aspect. Okay, we understand now. Get excited about your problems. Problems are awesome. If you're masculine, the more masculine you become, the more you want to take on the world's problems. The more you want to basically solve everyone's problems. That's a good thing. Masculinity, though, because we're masculine, we prioritize. We make sure that we don't take on too much, because then that'll crush us. And that's also going to hinder our consistency and, you know, our enjoyment of life if we take on too much at the same time. We've got to take on the amount that we're capable of handling right now, and then exponentially increase our ability to handle everyone's problems, or the whole world's problems, right? Over time, the more masculine you become, the less problems you have. And so where are you going to go? Like, I want more problems. Give me some problems. And so what's naturally going to happen is that you're going to want to help other people. But that's really the beginning stage of the journey too. If you understand how the universe works, you'll understand that if you make 1 million people happy, you're going to become happy, right? Happiness is in serving other people. Like, when I say that you should be voluntary celibate and stay by yourself and be lonely on your journey, like, I'm saying that you'll get happiness eventually. But you know what? It's going to be very depressing in the beginning. It's going to be difficult. It's going to get worse before it gets better. However, you're going to get to a certain level of expansion in terms of happiness. Like, maybe you'll be a 7 and you'll be a consistent 7. You're not going to go down to 1 or 2 or 3, because you're going to have consistency. You're going to move towards your dreams and goals. And as long as you keep doing, you know, like, thinking about the vision that you have for your life and remind yourself again and again and again, that's where I'm going. And I'm working 12 hours a day, every single day of the week, or at least 6 days a week, in order to achieve that, then you're going to be happy, but at a certain level. It's not going to be a 10, but that's okay. Okay. It's going to be boring, mundane, lonely, and all that stuff, but you're going to be part of this Men of High Value community. So you're going to progress with it and progress with us. So you're not by yourself, but your happiness is not a 10. Okay. And we don't want it to be either, because then if it's a 10, then you're going to collapse and become a 2 or 3. And then you're going to be inconsistent. It's going to take a longer time for you to achieve your dreams and goals. We want you to be consistent at a 7 or an 8, right? That's what you manage to control. You know what's going to happen? Over time, you're going to get so many wins, and you're going to have so many amazing, deep relationships. Okay. Your inner circle is going to be absolutely amazing. And you're going to provide happiness for them in a way that they provide depth and happiness to you. It's all about people, guys. It's all about people. And once you rationally understand that as a masculine man who's selfish by nature, which is good, then selfishly you'll want to help other people so that they can help you. You'll want to make other people happy so that they can make you happy. That's how the universe built us up. We're not a lonely island. If you go on a lonely island, you'll become mental within a few weeks or months, right? Or years, okay? If you're masculine. And you're going to become feminine if you're just in solitude all by yourself, and you're going to die because there's no one to fuel off of. There's no one to help. There's no one to elevate. Masculinity is elevating other people, because you don't need to be elevated yourself, because it naturally happens when you elevate others. Femininity is tearing other towers down so that you can be the highest small tower. But if you're masculine, you'll want to build up everyone's towers, because it's competition. And competition fuels us in a way that helps us to reach our massive potential. We've got intense potential, guys. And you want other people to grow, because they're going to help you back to build your tower. Does that make sense? Okay. Another aspect that starts from the beginning of life as well is also gratitude. Gratitude. Okay. An attitude of gratitude, independent of circumstances. If something bad happens to you, you're grateful. If something good happens to you, you're grateful. You're grateful. You always have gratitude in your heart, because that's going to elevate your happiness no matter what circumstance you're in. That could be a video all on its own, but I just wanted to mention that in here so that you can understand how important it is when it comes to happiness. Because the more grateful you are, the more you want to receive, and the more the universe allows you to receive. If you receive a gift and you're not grateful, you're just like, oh, great, that sucks. That's like me when I was 14 years old and my mom bought me whatever for Christmas, like something that I didn't want. I don't even remember what it was, you know? And me being a feminine brat that I was ungrateful. And I was like, ugh, so why did you buy me this? Like, blah, blah, blah. Right? Like, and her love language or whatever is gifts. Like, what do you think that does to a mother when when you're ungrateful for a gift that she's given you, right? Like, that's ridiculous. And what do you think happens? Well, she's not going to be inclined to give me a gift again in the future. Like, you want to open yourself up to receive more. The more grateful you are for what you receive in life, the more people are going to give you more, because your gratitude fuels their happiness. And when they're happy, they're going to want to give you more because it gives them more happiness, right? That's how the universe works, guys. And if we understand the truth about how things work, truth, that which works in the long run and in the big scheme of things, giving, helping others, because that's going to get them to give and help us back. And eventually you'll find out who actually gives you back and invests in you back when you invest in them. You don't want to invest in people that are not giving you anything back. That's not rational. Like, you can believe in karma all you want, okay? But if you keep giving to people that suck and that are draining you of your energy, then it's time to redirect your energy and prioritize those people that will invest in you so that you can continuously grow in happiness, in joy, in financials, etc., etc. Does that make sense? Except if it's your wife. If it's your wife and she's draining you of energy, that's your fault and you got to figure it out. I can coach you on that one, by the way. Okay, the last thing I want to say, bro, if you're still in your femininity and you're depressed and you keep failing, let's say you're on semen retention, but you keep failing, and you've got guilt and shame every single time that you relapse, and you're like, I can't believe I did it again. Oh my gosh, I suck. Okay, now don't have that emotion for very long, okay? In fact, you shouldn't really have that emotion at all. But it's understandable that it's going to be there, but understand that God doesn't care. Okay? Like, he cares. He wants us to progress. He wants us to move towards, happiness and masculinity and all that stuff, because that's what's going to give us happiness. And his entire purpose, why he's created us, is for him to become more happier, right? So he wants to help us to become happy, but he allows us to figure it out all on our own so that we can have consistency in that happiness. If he just gave us happiness like that, then we wouldn't figure it out, so we wouldn't be able to do it independently of him. Does that make sense? Like, he can't give it to us. He wants us to learn it and earn it. Does that make sense? To earn our bones when it comes to understanding life, understanding happiness, understanding what works, what truth is. So he stays out of the picture, but he's freaking excited about seeing us being happy once we figured it out. So, but what I'm saying to you is that he doesn't care in the sense of you relapsing. It's okay. It's okay. You're not going to die, okay? He's not going to strike you, and you're not going to go to hell, okay? Understand that. Because that, if you believe that and you're like, you have so intense emotions that I'm not doing the will of God, or I feel so bad and I'm always going to remain like this, that's a feminine voice going on in your brain. It's your inner bitch talking to you. Remember, our goal is to silence it and to make sure that it doesn't yap at us ever again. It will, though, right? It will, but the more we expand our comfort zone and the more we do difficult things, the less the yapping from the feminine inner bitch from us is going to talk to us and going to mess up our self-talk. Not anymore. You're masculine, right? And that's the picture you have to have in your mind, that you're going to make it. You're going to figure it out. and it's not going to be a problem. One small step at a time, you're getting there, and I'm fired up for you. And so if you know that you are progressing, that you're moving forward, and that you still are not letting go of the goal and saying that, you know what, I give up. I give up. The semen retention is not for me. I've maybe I found, maybe it's unhealthy. Yeah, maybe it's not good for me. And I've read some studies that blah, 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 blah. No, that's you giving up. Don't give up. That as long as you don't give up, you're going to win because you're learning. Time allows you to learn continuously. What are your triggers? What are the things stopping you from progressing? What are the things that cause you to do this, that, and the other? Don't feel bad about it, because if you feel bad about it in the sense of, oh, I suck and my self-worth is horrible, you're going to get depressed. And like I explained in the past, or in the beginning of this video, that doesn't help you to succeed. Happiness helps you to succeed. You've got to be in an environment with other people who are like-minded like you, who are moving in the same direction. The more you're being influenced by them and seeing the amount of happiness that they have because they've overcome themselves and they've managed to get rid of their femininity, and now they're controlling their thoughts, their emotions, and their behaviors. You want to be that. You want to do what they're doing. So over time, you're going to chip at your feminine inner bitch, and eventually it's going to be gone. Eventually you will overcome. I know you will, because it's all about time. It's all about overcoming things one small step at a time and becoming the man that you were designed to be. A man who's a stripling warrior, man. Like you are masculine. You can solve problems. You can do anything, and you can just this one last thing I'm going to tell you guys. Understand that there's different stages to emotion. Okay, like I say, destroy the inner bitch, but does that mean that you'll never have emotion again in your entire life? No, not at all. This is how it works. 1, you're feminine, 0 to 8 years old. You can't control your emotions. You become a teenager. Oh, the semen production starts, and you're like, oh, I can't control myself. I have to do this. And then if you start early, you can actually make it so that you don't get into that addiction and continue your femininity beyond the stuff that was necessary. Right? If you learn how to control semen retention at an early age, you don't become addicted to it, and it's not something that's holding you back in every aspect of your life in terms of getting other addictions as well, and not being able to stay away from women and all that stuff. Do you understand? So that's the first aspect. You literally causing your emotions within you to be subdued and to submit to your rational brain. That's number 1. Once we've learned how to subdue emotion in us, and we basically don't have that much emotion anymore, awesome, fantastic. That's what we want temporarily. Because what the next stage that's going to happen is you're going to be a little bit emotionless, and a little bit without life, and a little bit maybe even depressed. That's what the flat line is, right? Over time, though, very quickly, you're going to be happy, and you're going to begin to feel emotions again. Okay? When you do, then you're going to be able to control those intense emotions. You want intense emotions, but you want them in the areas of life where you want them to be. Emotions actually help us to get what we want. If you understand Think and Grow Rich and Napoleon Hill, you'll realize that your emotions are necessary in order for you to achieve what you want. But if you can't control your emotions, then your emotions are diversifying their energies, right? Or they're focused completely on the immediate gratification of life. That's a problem, and it will cause you to not receive your dreams and goals. However, once you've learned how to subdue the emotions, and then now your emotions are coming back, but in the way that you can control them and funnel them into the areas of life that you want to focus on, oh my gosh, like you're going to be a ballistic missile in terms of achieving your dreams and goals. That's how emotions work. You want intense emotions, but you want intense emotions to be controlled in you in a perfect manner. They don't go outside the circle that I control, in a sense that you control your thoughts, you control your emotions, but you allow yourself to have intense emotions, which fuels your desire, which allows you to get what you want. Okay? Happy emotions brings more happy emotions. It helps your goals to become a reality. In the same, so if you understand that, this is the same way with practicing semen retention. The first 30 days, you're all over the place, right? It's impossible for you to control your emotions, but you just are controlling the ejaculation. You're not ejaculating, you're not edging, you're not watching porn. It's very difficult the first 30 days. Once you get past 30 days, your emotions are going to level downwards. You're not going to have much emotion anymore. You're going to hit the flat line. But then over time, past 60 days, now your emotions are coming back up, but you are able to control it because you have controlled them for such an extended amount of time. Does that make sense? So I think that's where we're going to end this video. I hope that you guys got a lot out of it. Man, there's so much things I could share about happiness and understanding. I put in the title as well, does money buy happiness? I guess I'll have to explain that one as well. Because I didn't in the whole video. Maybe I'll just have to change the title so that, people don't get, don't hear what they came for. But money, does it buy happiness? Yes and no. And I'll explain. If you are feminine, then money is going to, it's going to give you power to be more feminine. Okay. So it's going to lead you to more immediate gratification and lead you to more addictive behaviors. And it's also not only that, but it's also, since you are feminine, you're going to attract people that are feminine in your life as well. And when I say feminine, I'm not talking about women. I'm talking about feminine guys. So guys that are emotionally unstable, just like you are emotionally unstable. So if you've got a lot of money in your emotional instability, then you might think that you have a lot of happiness. But what you'll notice is that a lot of guys will also have immediate gratification, because that's the guys you are surrounding yourself with, and they're like you. Flocks, birds of a feather flock together. So they're gonna want your money all the time, and they're gonna basically be there as long as you have cash. And the moment you cut them off financially and you don't want to support them and give them free stuff anymore, then they backstab you and like, oh man, that guy sucks and he did this and that and the other, and begin to lie about you and all that crap. Do you understand what I mean? So very often femininity and feminine people that go online and say that, oh, money doesn't buy happiness, and money, like, happiness is not pleasure, like Dan Bilzerian says. Exactly. He has that exact same thing. He's got feminine men that surround him very often because he's feminine himself, and he's surrounding himself with women that are masculine, okay, because that's what is attracted to his lifestyle. So he's not happy, okay? So his happiness sucks. So no matter how much money he gets, like he can turn this around in an instant. If he practiced semen retention, wow, amazing things is going to happen for his happiness. Because once you become masculine, once you begin to control your impulses and your femininity, once you become masculine, you'll begin to invest in things that you know will improve improve other people's problems. You'll begin to invest in other people, because when you do, then happiness returns back to you. Does that make sense? So like, the more happiness you share, the more happiness comes back to you. And if you're masculine, having a bunch of money will definitely help your happiness. But if you have bad relationships with other people, it won't. Does that make sense? So happiness is really, really all about understanding addiction, understanding your ability to control your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors. Because if you do that, you can be able to control your relationships, in the sense that there's only positive and amazing relationships in your life. And if you have that, then of course money buys happiness, in the sense that you can buy your mom a house. You can, go out there and help a guy who's almost going bankrupt to get his business back up and running, because you love his products and you want him to succeed because he's an awesome guy. Do you understand what I mean? Like, then money does buy happiness. So I don't like what's going on out there. People saying that money does not buy happiness. They don't understand the bigger picture of things, of what you can do with power. Because money is simply power. It's the ability to do. Because the more money you have, the more people you can put in operation to work towards your dreams and goals, and to work towards other people's dreams and goals. And that's happiness. That's productivity. That's truth. So money there, power there, is happiness. So you should progress towards money. You should progress towards happiness, in the sense of building up society and making it a better place. Extracting resources from the earth is a positive thing. It's awesome. Okay? And creating more wealth, which is like because of inventions, because of technology and all that stuff. Like, it's amazing the wealth that is possible because of the human brain, okay? And money is an amazing thing, and you should absolutely, in my opinion, love it because of what you can do with it. The root, like, I believe that the Roman Catholic Church translated that verse according to their own nature, because they wanted people to give all of their money to the Roman Catholic Church at that time. I'm not blaming the Roman Catholic Church today. I'm saying the Roman Catholic Church in the 300s and all those years in the Dark Ages and all that crap. Those are the ones who changed some things in the Bible and made it so that, hey, rich people can't enter into heaven. So you got to give all of your money to us. And do you understand what I mean? So if you understand truth, okay, God is rich. He's massively rich, and he wants us to be rich as well. And he's given us a world with massive amounts of resources for us to extract it so that we can help other people. That's what you do when you're masculine. When you're feminine and have a lot of money, then you destroy the world, basically, right? Because you build up things that are negative and that are bad. Right? Because you build up the liquor stores, and you build up the drug dealing, and you build up, like you basically reward all bad industries instead of rewarding things that are wholesome, good, and amazing. Does that make sense? So anyway, just wanted to get that in there. Hope that you got a lot out of this video. I sure did. And let's just read some comments from Issa, and we'll move on from there. Money doesn't buy happiness. It just makes life we want to live more achievable, if that's even a word. That being said, us men, we love unconditionally. Exactly. The energy should be reciprocated, not one person pouring all their energy into one source while being drained. That's calling casting your pearl before swine. Absolutely. Completely agree. Thank you so much for your comments, Issa. All right. 51 minutes. That's enough, guys. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one.